Right, we'll call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of our Open Space Task Force of the Sustainable Greenfield Implementation Committee. We are here with the goal of looking at our open space plan for the city and a few other open space related goals that the city has and working to implement them. Thanks for being here. This meeting is being recorded by the Open Space Task Force, and if any other persons here are doing the same, please notify me now. That would be, oh no, you have computers. Yeah, okay, nobody is. All right, we will do a roll call. Maybe we'll start with Allison on the screen and then go around.
1 second,
Hi, everyone.
please.
Allison Gage. I'm a non-voting member, and for one item on the agenda, I am Allison Gage of the Franklin Regional Council of Governments as the Energy and Environment Program Manager.
Nice. Couple hats. You need a moment?
Yeah, I'm making the copy.
Okay. I'll use this moment to say a big shout out to Francoise for her time taking notes, and she's passing the torch over to Patty, who another big shout out to Patty for taking on that role. Yeah. Important role.
Very important. But I will correct last month's.
Perfect.
So the way you usually do it would just be to copy the last minutes from last month.
Usually we copy the agenda for this
That's what I
one
do,
and just use that agenda as sort of the framework.
yeah. Or we can go through, starting with Dan. Introduction.
Oh yeah, sure. We could go around and.
Are you ready?
No.
Oh, yeah, why don't we?
Yeah, we can go around and that's not.
We'll
Yeah.
end with
Okay, yeah.
Patty.
Yeah.
All right, Dan Paisicki, Recreation Commissioner, voting member.
Pat Sorrentino, non-voting member.
Nancy Hazard, SGIC member.
And Francoise Hat, STIC member.
Jonah Keene, member of SGIC.
Emily Boss, voting member and member of Conservation Commission.
Patty O'Neill, community member.
Community member is a nice way to say
Yes.
it. Yeah, I like that. All right, are you all set?
So yep.
Great. So in that switch of roles was just a sort of a spark for me as well to think, we're coming up on 2 years of having this group.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, this summer will be 2 years. And I think it would make a lot of sense for us to just talk about how things are going and also talk about roles as well. I've said multiple times, although not recently, I'm very open to not being the chair if anybody else is excited to be the chair. So I thought maybe in June, after we have our public engagement in May, the June meeting would be a good time for us just to talk about how our process is going and our roles and whatnot. So just to put a little spark in your heads and we can talk about it then. Sound good?
Does the chair have to be a voting member?
That's an interesting.
Yeah, that's a great question. Let's look into that I'll look into that before June. Yeah.
You said you wanted to talk about this in June?
I think our June meeting would make sense for timing. I think that's right around the 2-year mark and the public event will be behind us. All right. So first order of business is to approve the minutes from what was our February meeting that got pushed to March 2nd. Is there a motion?
So move.
A second?
Second?
All right. Any discussion of the draft minutes?
I didn't say anything.
I have questions.
Okay.
In the first priorities, because I forget if Ella was talking or who, but said our recommendations, and so I didn't know if it was her or if it was the rec department's recommendations. Based on this, and I highlighted in yellow, I put it was Ella's recommendations, but
Yes, that was Ella. I think it was Ella's recommendations based on input
Okay.
from Christy.
all
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
Oops. Did I Oh, then I added all this stuff from Patty's notes, so they're in blue. Do I keep them? Oh, it's just.
As long as we covered them in the meeting, yes, I think we.
I took out a couple things that were not exactly in the
Oh,
meeting.
you already did on this? Oh, perfect, thank you.
Great.
And then I didn't write who moved and who second by with the adjournment. Is that important?
I think it's okay if we don't remember that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moved and seconded to adjourn.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
And that's it, for me.
Perfect. All right. All in favor of approving these minutes?
I,
Aye.
All right. Thanks so much. Thanks for your last minutes. Appreciate all the work. Okay, moving on. So our focus today is going to be on, as usual, going through our 4 priorities and checking in on each of them. And then our additional topic today for after that is we're going to talk about this Franklin Regional Council of Governments Resilient River Corridors project. So Allison will be leading us on that conversation. But first, let's jump into our 4 priorities, with the first one being the mapping project. Which is also an Allison-led effort. Thanks so much for sending around those couple of drafts. Do you have anything you want to say, or should we pop those up on the screen and start by discussing those?
Do you have them?
Yes.
Okay, that'd be great. I don't have anything extra.
Okay.
To say, so if we all want to look at them, that would be great.
Let's do it.
They're great.
Because the last time we looked at the downtown access map, it wasn't in we were just looking at it in QGIS. It was a little messy. And then the farmland map is brand new.
Right.
oh, yeah.
That was really fun to see. The farmland. It was, there were surprises.
I was gonna say it was very interesting. There's stuff I didn't realize.
On this
Is that
one,
good? You're seeing that, Allison?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. So I have the downtown access map up. Anything you want to introduce us to before we discuss?
Not in particular, just happy to get any feedback on this in terms of visuals, if it's clear. Patty and I had toyed around with trying to make this similar to the land conservation priorities map, where we figured out different characteristics of parcels. So say a parcel is within half a mile of a bus route or walking trails, or something like that, and then prioritizing that. But it seemed like that would make it a little too messy, and so we landed on presenting this just as it is, and then it could be something that the rec department could use to identify areas where they want to look into acquisition or conservation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That
Okay.
I think it would get quite muddled if we add that extra level in. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that? Does that make sense to folks? Or yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that's an example of how the map enables us to analyze a particular question that we have.
Mhm.
And then we could write a note about
Yeah.
this 10-minute walk deal. How many comply, what doesn't comply, whatever.
Right.
Did we know how to do that? I feel like I don't
Know how to do what? Sorry.
how to rank a parcel based on the distance to something or other features.
Well, I wasn't
Yeah.
thinking of ranking it. I was just thinking of being able to note it so that, or
Yeah.
acknowledge the fact that there's an area maybe that doesn't have that option or that kind of thing.
Oh, I would like to add that when I was at the Massachusetts Land Conservation Conference, I attended a workshop with where the people were mapping with GIS and got a connection to Tucson to ask about their methodology and have mapping help. So maybe we could do that. Maybe we could add that.
great, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Allison, you were saying that you do know a way to do that, or?
Yeah, we could if we knew the features or characteristics, then yeah, there's a geoprocessing tool that we could run. But I wasn't sure if we wanted to do that or just have this be more of a visual.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think the other, oh, this is time for us to get Bitdefender. All right. The other question looking at this is if this is how we want to present it at the public event in getting, you know, what the feedback is that we want to get around this map. And so if there's modifications that we think would be needed for how we present it to be the most useful for that information gathering session.
Yeah, I'd like to add more names of conservation areas. Like Alice and I talked a little bit about like labeling conservation areas with a number. So there could be like a reference to the name of all the parks and it wouldn't clutter the map.
Yeah.
And I would also love to show, I mean, maybe this would be another map, but some of the other like Olive Greenfield, and have all of those conservation areas labeled, and also there are some other low income neighborhoods around. So yeah, I think that would for the, you know, for showing to Olive Greenfield, that would be nice to include them.
Yeah, some type of labeling seems like that. Yeah, that would be important to orient. Yeah.
For Olive Greenfield.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's the question of how we would want to do that in a way that's not making it it could get really hard to view very quickly.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just thinking of accessibility, like for all, like right now we're focused on only downtown. I guess because that's where the most environmental justice populations are, but it'd be nice to consider accessibility everywhere.
Do you mean access for people who live here to other areas? Because that's one thing I was thinking about. Or do you mean access for the whole
For
town?
other areas too, like if anybody in downtown would like to have safer connections, like they're considering this with the Greenfield bike lanes, like how to make a safer trip to Just Roots, to get vegetables where they can, you know, with food stamps being cut, like having access to food, and also access to land, and then just, you know, being able to access all of these great conservation lands, like that would be nice to show, like that we're thinking about. And then like I mentioned in my email, there's Leiden Woods over there. That's like a community development, and they're right next to Leiden Woods, which and that seems like a really good opportunity to consider you know, all the things that we're talking about for somewhere really close by. So I would love to blow it out to entire Greenfield. And maybe if we are just having one like downtown because it's so condensed, like I can see that making sense. But I would love to also think about accessibility. I'm also like on the very edge of Greenfield, and all the attention is focused downtown. But I think like having more safe connections and more involvement with like just having everything have safer flow. And more
Yeah, I think this map just focuses on downtown because we couldn't do on the land conservation priorities map. This is like the inset version of that. But if we wanted to just have a second map of this where it just is, you know, a blown out view, because all of those files that I have linked in here, you know, it wouldn't be that hard to just show the other areas in town.
Yeah, I wonder if I feel like the more zoomed in on the downtown the more help, like to be able to distinguish details. So maybe there's an even more zoomed in version of this and then a whole town version. We keep adding workouts.
Yeah,
So feel free to just say, cut it out at any point. This is enough. But I could see the benefit of that for sure.
I'm curious in terms of recreation planning, what are the attributes and elements of this map that are going to be most useful to you?
well, that's a good question. I mean, we're always looking at any of the parcels that are vacant. We always talk about stuff, well, not always, but anytime we hear about something like that, we always talk about ways we can utilize that. And ultimately, typically it comes down to budget for us. We're like, oh, we would love to do this. The pocket park with the trees that the community member came in. We have talked about numerous times about ways we could utilize that.
Yeah.
But typically,
Hasn't happened
it
yet.
hasn't happened yet, but yeah, I know one time we were talking about just putting some benches there and then planting more trees and just kind of making it just a landing spot for people to just sit and.
What space are you talking about?
Miles Street?
Not on Mile Street. We kept calling it the second pocket park because that's what we wanted to do. On Deerfield Street, when you're heading out of town, was it last meeting or two
You
meetings?
mean the
ago?
Riverworks?
I'm sorry,
The Riverworks Park?
like across the street, like the with the staircase going down, that.
What Pia was talking
Oh.
about.
Pia was talking about the community, I couldn't remember her name. Pia came in and talked about that property. Yeah, we've brought that one up quite a few times. The Severance Park, on Severance Street, the old, schoolhouse, we've actually done work. There's an old baseball field there and an old beat up, old pumping station house. And at one point we had gone through all the process of having demolition, people come out and quote us. And then they found hazardous materials. And then at that point, it was not feasible. But I know that's still kind of sitting on the back burner. But we get requests all the time from people. Oh, we'd love to see this or that, different parks, and Newton School or not Newton School. What's the one by the dog park?
Yeah.
Green River.
Green River.
Yeah.
They were gonna redo something like that, and there was some adjacent land that could be used recreational. We've talked about adding some type of trail system there, but that became unfeasible as well. Seems like anytime we start, there's
Barriers.
there's a lot of barriers.
Is it usually funding? Or is
A
it
lot of times it's-
hazardous material?
So it varies, but those are the two most, it's almost every time it's been funding or simply capacity. That we just between Christie and her team and then us commissioners, they're already stretched thin. All of us work full time and are stretched thin as well. So, and that's, same with the trail project we're working on. There's a bunch of crossing private land that we need to talk with and there's just not the capacity in our department to keep up on it regularly. And I feel like that's our bigger issue than anything, capacity.
Yeah, seems to me too, even if there was funding to buy and put things, then there's the maintenance. Then there's the maintenance, because we have all these parks, but then they're not maintained because people think it's a great idea and then they're done. Oh, nice, next thing.
Right.
And they don't stay with it.
Yeah, it's one of those things, not throwing any department, but like Parks is there for it, but DPWs are the ones that maintain it and they're stretched thin and its communication gets lost. Yeah, but absolutely.
Do you have a question?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I just had a quick comment. When we present this, would it be helpful to have a street map, Greenfield, next to it? Just a street map, not, because I don't want to make that busy, just like your general street map, because people might, want to see where their house is.
to
Yeah.
orient.
Or
Yeah,
the
it's neat.
street
Yeah.
and that would just help them orient them to the map.
And some of these big green areas, I'm like, what is that?
Right.
Yeah,
For the
yeah, I can label those, and I can also label some of the main road names too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to make more work for Alice. I just meant have a street map. There must be.
No, that's okay. That's always
You know,
it's always good to
a
have them on
general
there.
street map, you know.
Do you think the open street map, base map would work?
I'm not sure. I could because I don't remember what other features are on that one. But
It's
either way, I
kind of
can
like-
just
Mass mapper.
yeah. But then like because the background of ours is white, so that might get muddled. But I can just plop in some of the street names.
Yeah, I think even some main streets and main, points of interest would kind of be able to drive people to where they need to go, put their eyes where it needs to go.
Yeah.
If you see, Silver and Franklin or whatever, okay, I know I'm a few blocks that way.
Right.
We'll have we'll have big maps at the meeting.
Right. Yeah, that's another point. This is very small and we'll be able to make it bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a question. Things look like they're pink hatches, but is that because they're really orange, but because they're on purple, they look pink, or?
Yeah.
Oh, here.
There, and
For
then there's
instance,
one in
there, and
the
then one
bottom
by the
center.
meander in the
Down
Green
here.
River.
Oh, yeah. I think that must be.
Are they green? Are
Is
they,
there a pink?
are they
hatch?
permanent protection?
It's
or-
orange.
So there's only one
There's
hatch
only one
mark.
hatch,
Any
yeah.
hatch marks are the only thing, are the
Yeah.
same thing. There's only one.
That's what I figured.
I know, so
Yeah.
I know sometimes it's,
Oh, I see.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
I was wondering if it's an optical illusion. that it looks
Yes.
pink. Okay.
Yes, anything
exactly.
that's hashed should be orange. but
Yeah.
Just might appear different.
Yeah, I think the only pink is around Maplebrook.
So what is the pink? I don't see that in the legend.
There's a little bit around there's a
Maplebrook.
little bit
Oh,
of
so
pink
you mean a
there.
pink background rather than a hash mark?
Right, exactly. Yeah, just a little bit there.
I
Great.
couldn't find I was trying to find the bike route that runs along the river. I just wasn't able to see it. Is it there and I'm missing
Yeah.
it somehow?
Isn't it the black hatches there along the river?
Wouldn't that
Bike-
be green though, if it's a
bike
bike
is-
route?
Oh,
This,
that's
I think it's on
Oh, yeah.
top.
Right, because there's another bike path there that's doubled up bike path, hiking path, so.
oh yeah, this is both.
Right, so
Yeah.
that might be as well.
Oh, I see. So there probably
Probably.
is green, it's just not visible.
Yeah.
I could take off. I could figure out how to take off the hiking and walking trail on the bike trail. That's in Turner's because that is a little confusing.
Right. Yeah, it could be helpful.
If it's a paved path, then it seems like it wouldn't be as relevant for hiking and wilderness trails as much as it would for biking.
Mhm.
Because of all of the, I guess the limitations, like why, these projects can't like expand because of like, feasibility. I thought it'd be cool to have a feasibility map that would be kind of related to this, like that would show whatever opportunities might, matter for funding or capacity. Like if there is, like if it's a vacant lot and maybe the consideration is a community garden, maybe they're gonna want to know about, like if there's a water source or like any number of things.
Would it make sense to use a matrix or a table for that rather than a map?
Yeah, I feel like accompanying all of these maps, like a table would be really
Yeah.
helpful.
It'd be great to have like the list of the projects that you folks would like to do.
Mhm.
And then have like barriers types listed and then, check
Yeah.
marks or whatever.
Wouldn't
Then
that
make it
be,
different.
excuse me, wouldn't that make sense to do it after the meeting? Because then we'll get
Absolutely.
what the public
Mm.
is interested in
Either
their
way.
projects
Yeah.
besides ours.
I mean, we already have kind of started a framework, like we have the, a spreadsheet, for funding, different funding sources, different grants and the timelines. And like, I think all of those requirements could help us build something of like another table that shows what, you know, just the rest of the feasibility that we could consider.
If we listed some that are already sort of on our radar, that then we could get feedback from the public
Yeah.
about them.
That's true.
Also, like a lot of us are looking at those city-owned unused properties. It'd be nice to have those in the mix as well, because
Mhm.
the public might have some interest.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'd be great. Like to know, like if we could present to the public, like this is what like maybe you're nearby and here's what it could qualify for. So are you interested in doing anything that might fall under, like there's possibilities here that we know of.
Yes, so I wonder for the meeting, if there was maybe a couple highlighted areas, like that we would focus on of some vacant lots or potential projects that we would want to have as a call out that we're providing input on. I guess the question would be between now and then, just
Yeah.
identifying what those are.
What is the date again for the event?
It's the 19th, and so we have
Of
one more
May, right?
meeting in May, yeah. So we have one more meeting between now and then. So I mean, it could just be on this map that there's the vacant lots, which they're on here, yeah, the lime green. We just kind of highlight those and say, provide input on, we could have them listed on the side, we have them like numbered on there and listed on the side with, pin your ideas up for what you'd like to see here kind of thing. It could be that simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess in the effort of time, since we have a lot to cover, is there other thoughts on this map, especially in the context of sharing it at the community event?
The one thing that struck me was that there's a lot of areas that are purple in sort of the southwestern and western side of the city that I don't know what's there. Is there a lot of pavement? Is it greener there? It's not like we can put that here, but maybe if we had a street map, that would sort of help, like especially if it was a view of the land. So, because it's a little clearer to me what's going on in the more congested areas, but I'm not quite as sure what's going on in the other areas.
I see, yeah, because where there's these larger parcels.
Yeah.
Like this is all clearly house lots,
Yeah.
but we don't know with all these larger parcels, what's going on.
And I'm sure if
Yeah.
I took a look at them and figured out which one it was, that would, but so that's another vote in favor of having just a map of the central area so that we can people can both find where they fit in or where things are, and then also just look at it to
Yeah.
see what's on the ground.
So like a satellite map, you think?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that easy enough to throw into the mix, Allison, for stuff that we're gonna print?
It should be.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Okay, so if there's nothing else on this, we'll have a look at the farm land. All right, anything you want to say on this, Allison?
No, just this is one that Patty and I briefly chatted about, just having some sort of key to the different farm names. And if anyone has resources on that would be great. Yeah, just so there can be some labeling on here.
Right. Yeah, because some of them, the listed owner for the parcel, that field would be the farm name, but some of them is probably not.
Yeah, there was, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The attribute table is not helpful.
Yeah.
Would CISA's information be useful? I mean, it's not like it's the easiest thing to scan through, but They might list it by town, so there might be a listing of enrolled farm
Yeah,
property.
or wonder, I'll try and find, now that I'm back at the FERCog, I have access to all my little files, and I know Mount Grace did that farmland plan like a decade ago,
Yeah.
so I might be able to use that.
Do you have that? If it's not posted on Mount Grace's site, then I'm sure the staff can share it with you. I might
Yeah,
have.
I have it in my files.
Okay, good.
Here. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll pull that up.
Great. Yeah, since it's not, yeah, we can all look at this together so I can scroll up and not have it here. But so the hash marks are the different levels of protection, with the APR being the long term, and these two being the temporary, I guess is the word we use for chapter 61. And then the brown background, the soils, so it doesn't necessarily mean that it's farm, but that it has the soils that are prime. And then protection status.
Might it be possible to add the temporary and permanent protection to those? Just,
Oh, down here,
You
Or-
mean in terms of chapter 61
Oh,
versus
what?
APR?
yeah.
I
feel
would
like-
think that the APR would be under permanent protection.
Right.
So
Right.
That's what we said, but
Chapter 61, it seems like
temporary?
it would be, it's
Yeah.
better just to leave it hash mark. That's what I would think.
Well, visually, yeah, leave it the same, but I wonder if temporary could be noted there. Like
I wouldn't. It's really not any kind of protection. It's only a very temporary thing. It can be rolled back at any time.
Yeah.
People just have to pay the taxes. But that's
Right.
my opinion.
right.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, it's not really
It's not-
protected. Yeah.
Well, if we were showing this to the public, I wonder if that could, if we could
It's
have
also
like
very
blurbs.
confusing because
Yeah.
people think that if something's in 61, that it's protected.
Yeah,
It's really
Yeah.
not.
I thought it was.
No, it's definitely not.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good point of how to,
It's just a disincentive for the land use to be changed. Because there's penalties if you take it out during the 10-year period of enrollment,
Mhm.
but that's it.
yeah, I wonder if it,
And
So
there's
we-
a right of first refusal for the town. So there's
which,
entry points for conservation.
which we need to get more involved with that right of first refusal process for sure. But, so I'm wondering here, so we have permanent protection as this orangey brown, and then we have APRs as the green hash mark. So any APR also has the orangey brown behind it because it's protected. I wonder if it makes sense to simplify that somehow and to have APR as, and include that it's somehow permanently protected and have it just have one. You know, so we,
yeah, I could pull. Yeah, I could do that.
so then we would have we would have permanently protected farmland as one thing in the key. And then these other browns would be permanently protected non-farm, not farms, not APRs.
but that's
Okay.
not protected. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. Can you-
Yes, the orange means permanently protected, but it's not in any farmland status. It's just open space
Oh.
protection.
Okay, I'm getting the permanent protection and the farmland a little mixed up. I think.
Yeah,
The colors are hard to distinguish a little bit.
right. Yeah, this is the farm soils.
Yeah.
And this is permanent open space
Yeah.
protection. So, yeah, I wonder if.
Yeah, we don't know if it's permanent protection, we don't know if it's actually prime farmland soil, right? It could be brown underneath it,
Oh, true.
but we don't know.
That's true, though I also don't know how much if it's already permanently protected as a non-APR, which is what all these are. I wonder how much it matters for us to include that on there. You know, like what we would use that information for.
Well, I mean, this is the farmland.
Right. but we're not going to take any of these that are not farms that are permanently protected, we're not going to turn into farms. Right?
I think that's a good point. Like down below in the southeast, that's Highland Park and Poet Sea. That's,
Right, they're not.
that's like rolling hills, you know.
But I guess what I mean, even if this parcel here had prime farmland soils, which it probably does based on some of the surroundings, it's protected with a conservation restriction, most likely. And so we're not going to go in there and clear we're not going to make it a farming operation that would.
There are some areas that are hayfields, like on Griswold.
That are CRs, they're not
I think so.
APRs.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, actually, that's probably just conserved by the mechanism of accepting it. So there's no CR on it or PR, or APR.
I see.
It's just, conserved, through the deed.
Yeah, right.
I would like to see that potential just in case. Like it's kind of my question about like what counts as forest stewardship and what could be like working farmland. Like my question to Seth from the Mount Graceland Trust is like I guess like more of these agroecology things. So there
right.
could be opportunities, community land tending possibility in Griswold. Like there could be like some overlap between like farmland and working forest land, and maybe that like knowing that is on prime farmland soil maybe would make the case for that.
Yeah.
Doing something like that.
So I wonder, Allison, I wonder if prime farmland becomes hatch and APR becomes solid. Would that, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out some way to get to the goal.
I kind of like the APR staying hatched because then it's all the different types of farmland as one symbol, just in the color.
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I could make the farmland more transparent so it could go on top, maybe.
Also do different kinds of patches or polka dots.
Polka dots, that's what I was thinking.
We can play around with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds good. Yeah, just figuring out how to present. It's all the information's there. It's just a question of how to best present it.
What's the limited protection referred to? The pinks?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that because I have no idea what that means.
Those are all city owned, but
Yeah.
Pink is usually municipal
Cemetery.
land.
those are cemeteries
yeah,
right there.
right.
Those two are.
That makes sense.
Oh, and that. Yeah, those are
Oh,
two.
we
Can't
actually.
do much with that.
I know, what are you gonna do? Dig people up or something?
Fruit trees.
Someday.
Fruit trees.
Right. So yeah, maybe it is limited protection open space. But as far as the being on the farmland map, I guess the question is, what's the value for us? Yeah,
You mean for a cemetery? Or
just of having that information on there. I
you
think,
mean having it limited on there?
right.
Oh, okay. Because you think it might be confusing.
No, well, I guess
Or
my
I think
perspective,
define it on there.
we could define it on there. My thought is that we like thinking of just what the goals of the map are, wanting to make sure that we have the information on there that's relevant to the goals of the map and not anything else that's going to add complexity.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I do wonder if those are like playgrounds and stuff, maybe they have water access and then maybe they could add like community gardens to them. Like especially if that's like one of the only things that downtown urban has access to.
Right.
It could add complexity into the parks.
Yeah. Well, what do we think? Any other thoughts, Allison, on how we would incorporate some of these ideas? And I mean, maybe for the meeting, it's maybe this is as is fine for the meeting and we just, it could be sort of a, what's your reaction? Like, what are your thoughts on this? What are your connections with farmland and what do you see here? Like, it could be more.
Yeah,
of a
like
general-
what do you want to see? Where do you want to see community farms? And then maybe look at it from that angle.
Right.
And this
Is
could
it
just be
possible?
an initial pass. 'Cause
Is it possible? I know some of the open space layers have names for conserved properties. And a lot of times it says the name of the farm, which may or may not be the current owners, but it can give you a little bit of information. Could that be included or would that be too messy?
Yeah, that's why I was trying to find the Mount Grace report to see, because I think they have a map of farms in Greenfield. The attribute table doesn't have good information. It's
Okay,
normally just the owner, but then it's not the name of the farm.
yeah.
I had just an observation, which.
Yeah.
You were talking about too, that in looking at this, I was surprised to see how much of the farmland is either in APR or has some kind of a restriction on it. I had no idea. And in fact, there isn't that much farmland that is not restricted in some way. Is that true or am I just?
Well,
All
Emily's,
of the brown areas that are not hash marked
Right.
are unprotected. So there's a good percentage.
Yeah, that's
of farm soils, we don't.
Farm
Yeah,
soils.
that could be
Right.
forested or, yeah, we don't
Yeah.
know, but.
right.
And then Emily's point earlier is that the hash marks that are not the dark green they're not protected. That they have the sort of loose
They have
concept of protection of a chapter 61 tax
Exactly,
advantage.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they're not, and there are some hoops to go through if they wanted to get,
If they wanted to take it out,
but
but there
it
is,
could be fully developed someday.
Yeah,
oh, that's, okay.
it could be fully built
Like-
tomorrow if somebody so choose and they had enough money and the town didn't exercise their right of first refusal.
And oh, I see, sorry, okay.
But still, I think your point is still true. There is a good amount of APR land in
Yeah,
Greenfield.
there
The
is.
dark hash is
More than I
pretty
thought.
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is nice to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think people looking at the map would be, pretty impressed, especially people who live like in the downtown area where I live that don't know Greenfield that well. And they could be like, wow, there's
Mm.
a lot more to Greenfield than just the center of town,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
central area.
I when I opened this up, I was kind of taken back on how much. I mean, I drive through it all the time, but you just don't realize the capacity and how much is out there until you see it right there in front of you. Right.
Yeah.
Totally. I think another takeaway from what we're talking about looking at this is all the hatch that's not dark green has APR potential. Oh, no, not this. This is forest land. So all of the lime green hatch has APR potential, right? That would be it is agricultural land that's in chapter 61, but not permanently protected.
Right,
That is, and when we're thinking about our next steps from this, that seems like an opportunity for us to be doing outreach with those landowners.
so the property that has no color and no hatching, is that just, we don't know anything about it?
No, it just doesn't have prime farmland soil. It's not protected. It's not in chapter 61. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think these are awesome,
Thank you.
Allison and Patty. Thanks so much for your
Great
work
job.
on these. And
Really helpful.
Your work.
I mean, I think even if no additional work happened between now and the public meeting, we can totally use these. So I think
Yeah.
any other adjustments would just be whatever there was time for. And then these would be plenty to have input from the community on, as is. So, yeah,
Great.
awesome. All right, any last thoughts on the mapping work before we move on to the next?
What do you think about satellite for this map?
You mean underneath the layers as they exist?
Yeah, or something like that. If there was a way to, I don't know,
That
play around with that.
would help distinguish what's actually being farmed or not, you mean? Is that what you're thinking? Or-
Yeah,
Yeah. Right.
Could see if it's still legible.
yeah.
It is nice
It
that
might
it's
be
sort of
too much.
abstracted here.
Right.
Yeah.
It would have to be almost like the transparent, where it's not too colorful.
Might be too much, but
Be a lot.
I'm interested to try it out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So let's see, let's check in on the trails. Anything to report from the trail side? You attended a meeting?
Yeah, not much though, because we weren't on the agenda. We had 3 minutes to talk.
Oh, yeah.
And they weren't supposed to talk back, so
Oh,
we,
That was our fault for not figuring that out.
I'll take the full blame. I said I would
All right,
email,
we'll let you
I,
do that.
I said I would email Christie and I got really busy at work and I forgot to email her and get you on the agenda. And I do apologize about that. That
but
was completely on me.
it sounds like a better use of our time is to actually go meet
Yeah, we're
with
supposed to-
Christie.
Yeah, and she said she'd be happy to. And we can get you on the agenda too. It
Uh-huh.
wasn't that, it was mainly, I dropped the ball in giving her enough heads up because I just got swamped with work and it
Yeah,
just
okay.
slipped my mind. But I think a good approach would be having a meeting with her and I'd be happy to, all four of us schedule, the two of you and me scheduling with her. So we're all on the
Yeah.
same page. That would
Yeah.
be great.
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah, Pat has started a letter
Yeah, just
to
an
Christie to explain what it is we're looking for.
Yeah.
Which is the maps and the maintenance, because there are, there were some grants. I went and looked.
Yep.
Which grants there are, so now I have the name and so forth to see where they're at. And then she will say when we are available. I gave you my available
Yeah.
times.
So you might want to give me some available. Do I get your email?
You should have my email through here, yeah.
Yeah.
And here's what I tell everybody, because
Oh, okay.
if I have a 72-hour notice, I can almost certainly always make it.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Okay.
Just because of the nature of my business.
Uh-huh.
I'm in real estate, so I'm always everywhere.
Because this pretty much has to be during the day so that Christie can, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I live 2 blocks from her, from the office, and I work out of my home office a lot too, so.
And we're both pretty much retired, so.
Okay. I will say Wednesdays are typically my best day during the day. I have the most flexibility in my day that day.
Great.
Okay.
And I talked to Emily about this, but I happened to walk on the Griswold. Because then there's, the Highland Park, okay, that's recreation department, but then Poet Seat is also, I believe, the Conservation Commission.
It's a mix, I think, up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
On the ridge is mixed.
And so, I looked for the maps for that. There was a map that I think Travis had done at some point, but that's not really useful. It's like it doesn't have colors or nothing. So we might also eventually
Great.
come to the
Please do.
Conservation Commission.
Please let us know if you have like a list of what would be better to have on the maps, which trails need to be captured. Again, it's capacity, but we want to know. And that puts us ahead on our radar, because right now we're just trying to look at each property and see what we can do.
Mhm.
And so if you already have information about what needs to be done, then that's great.
So that's on our to-do list, on the list goal as well. Did I get everything?
Thank you.
That's great. Awesome. Thank you. All right, Patty, I know you've been doing a little work on the pollinator side of things.
Yes. So, at the last city council meeting, both Max and Sarah asked, they had a special guest, DPW director, Paul, and they asked him, basically what we've been trying to ask, which is what would it take to implement, some of these mowing changes? And he said that that would be a question for the Parks Department of DPW. So Max is going to follow up with Paul to kind of move that along. And I think would also be included in a meeting. And they're also interested in we've been talking, Marie-Francois and I and Nancy and I, we've been talking about what if we looked at demonstration sites? Like we looked at the Riverworks Park today before we came here. and talked about like, you know, what would be feasible to not mow, or what changes DPW could make. And then, like if we presented a plan to DPW, then they might, like you've said that they would be willing to do that.
Yeah, I spoke with Elena,
Mhm.
who said, you know, that they're happy to do things, but that people sometimes don't give them any specifics, and they would like to have specifics. So maybe, you know, Patty was working on a plan. He started up like a plan for that part. And so the idea is come up with an actual plan. This is mow, you know, at these times, and then mulch this, mulch that, and send it to them, and then hopefully it'll do.
Yeah.
And we met one of the neighbors there, and she and I, you know, could go and keep track of things, just keep the trash out of there. It's
Mhm.
lots of trash.
Yeah.
But as far as the, you know, at first my idea was, oh, just don't mow it all summer. But then there are a lot of invasives. And so Patty was pointing out, yeah, well, then they're gonna
Right.
invade the whole park.
Right.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about maybe even like ground truthing the FERCog pollinator plans mowing map, the roadside mowing, where they've like kind of highlighted some streets where I don't know if they are already not mowing those areas as much, or that those are areas that they think would be feasible to mow. Do you know, Allison?
Yeah, I know about that map.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna
involved.
say, talk to Nancy.
Yeah, I mean, when that map was made, what FERCog did is reached out to the DPW and asked them, where are you mowing? And it was a list, and they put it into the map. So that's what you're looking at. That's what they mow. Has nothing to do with how they mow it or anything.
Okay.
There's not currently anything that they're managing. We're all set. Thanks, Betty. Thank you. Yep.
Well, just in, what was it, 2 years or a year or two ago, the, what was it called? The not Greenfield's pollinator plan, but the larger pollinator plan was updated.
Mhm.
And they gave guidance on what the roadside mowing, the timing should be, but none of that has been implemented or, you know, communicated with the DPW, as far as I know.
Yeah, the toolkit the update of the toolkit expands on how DPWs could implement better mowing practices, but yeah, I don't think any of it has been done in any town.
So we can lead the way.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, just to further try to implement that by giving them more of a plan, maybe we could, maybe in combination with more volunteers who are interested, because I feel like a lot of it is like, what are the broad strokes that DPW would be willing to do? And then what would come down to needing volunteers or their engagement, and like if there are opportunities for funding stewardship, that would be great to know about. And we can work on that as well. But if we at least can kind of identify like what are the easiest sites, if we're looking at the mowing map, maybe there's like the best sites for reducing mowing would be plant areas that are mostly desirable plants, pollinator plants, and the least desirable areas to not stop mowing would be the ones that are mostly invasive plants, because then that problem is going to get worse. So if we could, yeah, note on that roadside mowing map, which are ideal, and other sites. Sarah and Max, the counselors, are particularly interested in exploring less mowing on the jail grounds. And what it would take to do that. So they're interested in maybe a tour, and we got to hear at the meeting that, like the sheriff explained, who was there also, who is maintaining it now. They've cut a garden leader position there. So it would be nice if they wouldn't, or if they could, if there would be some funding maybe, or some capacity for whoever's doing the land care there now, which it seems like there's like a police officer supervisor there leading it. Yeah, so they have a lot of ideas that they'd like to, like for the, like rehab, opportunities, like, teaching something about, sustainable land care practices. Like they'd love to do a program like that. So, I think there's a lot of interest out there. But it could be just a matter of like finding a way to engage or like coordinate all these like volunteers who would be interested. So yeah, lots going on, lots to do.
Yeah, great.
The Mass Department of Corrections is a partner in the Growing Wild Massachusetts initiative. So I don't know if there's any impact there, but
Growing Wilds.
Growing Wild Massachusetts. I think it's led by DCR, but it supports pollinator plants, and there's kits and things.
I got free plants and seeds from them last year.
Yeah. It doesn't look like it has any major grants associated with it. I'm just looking at their website because I was trying to figure out what they do. But I just looked at their list of partners, and yeah, Corrections is on there.
Okay, we'll explore that. Thanks.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Patty. So I guess, we can move on to the next priority, but it kind of ties into all of them since we're talking about the community engagement, and maybe we can check in a little bit on what each group might be thinking there. So we have a date and a location, Tuesday, May 19th. We have it starting at John's on, right? Yeah, John's on Community Center. So we have the big room available, which is nice. We can accommodate more people than will likely turn up. But
Oh, no, you'll get
we'll get a lot of people, but
we're gonna fill it.
So we have to be there at what time?
well, we have it starting at 4:15.
You're not allowed to get in until 4:15. That's
Okay.
the issue.
Yeah.
That's the earliest you can get into the building.
Right.
And when do we have to get out?
There's no endpoint,
Okay.
as
You
long
can
as you
spend the
have
night, no?
We can have a
somebody there who's gonna walk up behind you.
You?
Sorry, Nancy, are you saying 450 or 415?
15.
1-5.
15.
Okay.
Yes. So the question is, what time do we actually want to hold the event? So we have flexibility. So Tuesday evening. I know one question was around food. I talked with Amy or emailed with her. She said it'd be a little bit odd for us to apply for funding, that it's not the norm. She didn't say it's out of the question, but she said it would be odd.
What-
She's-
It would say any position, where would we be applying for the?
But we'd mentioned in the last meeting, perhaps applying to Greenfield Savings Bank or some like
Oh, okay.
just to a local outside the city source. She said, let's first think about what we might be able to do just internally in the city. And we asked Ella, and Ella said they're happy to print the maps. So
Oh,
that was
great.
probably the biggest expense for us to print a
Huge.
bunch of big maps. So Allison's connected with Ella, and they'll just print the big maps that we need. So that'll be great. So the question is, food would be the other expense. And we had talked about having more substantial snacks of some kind. And the question is, if we want to do that, which should also be connected to our timing, I assume, if we wanted to do that. So it seems like we could do a little bit later and assume people are eating dinner and are coming after the meeting.
Like 6 or?
6 or 7.
Right. Yeah. I know Nancy especially, but others as well have been a part of a lot of community meetings. I don't know if you have experience on what's been most successful.
Big pile of pizza
Greenfield.
out on the table. People like that. It doesn't hit everybody's, there's,
The dietary
Yeah.
needs. Yep.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
You know, if you think that what you're gonna do is capture people before they go home, then you have to provide food and blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah.
but we often hold events at usually 6:30 rather than 6, but could be 6.
6:30 has been a common time for you that you've had success with, or?
Well, but somehow I feel like this is a different kind of a meeting. It needs to be earlier than that. But when we have our sit down lecture type, that's 6:30. But
Yeah.
it's a little,
Well, one thing about May is the sun's out for a long time.
It's good.
Yeah.
And
That's a good point.
and I know when you're in a meeting like in February, it just feels, different than May
Right.
when
For
it's,
sure.
so I,
That's a good
I
point.
would vote for having desserty kind of.
Yeah.
items.
Oh,
And if it's,
Because I
it's
think.
nice day.
Do
Like at 6:30.
yeah, well, or, yeah, 6:30. But.
6:30 sounds good. I would love to have food there though. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if we could have like hearty snacks.
Yeah.
Carrots?
Or dessert, something more. It could be treaty.
Cheese crackers, brownies, cookies,
Yeah, it could be a little of
Fruit.
both.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Yeah.
something to drink.
Yeah, and so we advertise it as
Snacks.
snacks.
refreshment.
Refreshments.
Refreshments are served.
That's very, much more professional with snacks.
In which case you'd start at what time? 6?
Well, I think Pat's point is a good one at that time of year, especially if it's a nicer day, people don't want to go inside if if like the sun's still shining and it's a nice day in the spring. So I think
A little
the
later.
later is,
You
don't know,
think
that's
they're
my,
gonna go home and come back?
well,
that's-
yeah,
That's my, yeah.
right,
Yeah.
You don't want to be too far after work hours
yeah,
to give people the chance to, get relaxed. Once they sit on their couch or sit on their back deck, are they gonna come back out?
right.
That's my only thing about this.
That's why 5:30 sometimes is better, because you just
Want to go back out, but if it's light.
get it.
I'll go back
Yeah.
out.
So you're saying go earlier to catch them
No,
after
five.
work?
5:30, I feel like you'd be rushing from your job.
Well, yeah, then when we've done 5:30, we've served people pizza. You're right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Or
But 6, I think 6:30 is like too late. They're too relaxed.
Yeah, and I guess my thought is if it's 6:30 and people, how long is it gonna, how long is the intention? Because, some people might look at it like 6:30. If it's an hour and a half, I'm not getting home till 8, and then I gotta get the kids to bed or
Right,
do this or that. But, 6, an hour and a half, you're still getting home before 8.
Yeah, I think that's helpful.
yeah.
I'll look at it.
Any other thoughts on that? We feel good, 6 PM?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we assume
Difference.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we don't even have to put like an end time. Just naturally, I feel like it wouldn't go more than 90 minutes. Would be
Well-
But we're not gonna kick people out, but.
well, right, but you know what I mean? Like it just,
Certainly not have any kind of programming beyond 90 minutes.
Right.
right.
And then if people want to linger, if they want
the
to like, put
tables.
a million sticky notes on the maps,
Mhm.
more
right.
power.
Yeah,
Great. And so, yeah, so the way we've been talking about it is having a presentation of sorts at the beginning and then a break, rotating around. So that assuming we didn't call people back together for an ending, which I think is probably the most successful way because that people can leave, will be leaving gradually throughout,
Right.
kind of a flexible ending.
Yeah.
So I'll be a stickler about the food, that I just
Okay.
want to get clear
Yes.
about this. So
Yes.
it starts at 6:00.
Yeah.
Do you assume that people will come and grab something because there's the presentation-y part at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So are you assuming people are gonna, or do you hold that until a little bit later?
The refreshments.
The refreshments,
So
yes.
People aren't eating. at-
Well, I'm just thinking it through, I
Logistics.
get weird because I do events all the time, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Just what people think about that.
How much time do you think would be appropriate to allow people to get their food?
I'm thinking they're gonna be finger foods.
Okay,
They don't need a plate and
yep.
silverware, so they could grab things. They could put them on a plate and then sit and listen.
Yeah.
15 minutes?
yeah,
Get settled?
For them to grab things, yeah.
Or you're saying not start talking until 6:15?
Right.
Yeah.
yeah. And even say doors at 5:45.
Yeah.
Presentation starts at 6:15.
Right.
Get like half an hour buffer.
Yeah, I like that idea of sort of advertising a mingle
Mhm.
time to start. Just like, yeah, that's kind of a nice idea. 5:45. Great. So I'll follow up with Amy and just get a sense of money for like what we could spend on refreshments. And we also could do it like bake sale style and we
Yeah.
each bring some cookies and could, that way. And then so for the event itself, so what we've talked about so far is that we would have a welcome, just a general overview of what we're doing, assuming that Amy and or Ella are ready to do it, they will give a 5 to 10 minute description of some of our successes with the master plan and the new chapter updates. Then my thought is that we could then give we have the whole group assembled, just give a little more background on the Open Space Task Force, why we were created, the fact that we're created, we have representation from other commissions and community members. And then I thought it'd be nice if we talked about having 3 breakouts based on their 3 different priorities, is that if each of us presented, each of you who are in charge of one of those groups, maybe just give a brief overview to the whole group ahead of time, so they don't have to just go to the group to learn about it. So, Allison does a little introduction to the maps, Patty does the pollinator plan, Francois, or combination of folks, to the whole group. That's, I would imagine, would be brief.
Yes.
That would be just sort of the intro to what we're doing, and then stop by our station to give input on X, Y, and Z. Like that kind of like little whole group synopsis. And then break out into the groups. So maybe we're gathered as a whole group for like 30 minutes at the most, maybe a
Right.
little less.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
most of the time is in the smaller groups. That sound like a good plan?
Sounds good.
Sounds great.
And so then, those breakout groups would have, I think, the map, I know everyone's kind of been involved with everything, but trails, it seems like Francois, Pat, and Dan would make sense to be sort of leading that station. And then Patty and Nancy leading the pollinator station. And Allison and Emily and myself, I guess, helping with the map station. Does that?
And I think that Ella and Amy will probably want a table that would it would be the big picture master plan.
Oh, yeah, let me ask them. I know they went back and forth when we talked. When did we talk about that? We talked about that at some point. I think there was back and
As
forth.
the SGIC
Yeah.
meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were back and forth and if they wanted that, but I'll verify with them.
They're thinking about it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Don't forget them.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Put that on there too, yeah. So that overall structure feels good?
Yeah.
So it seems like the main thing would be for us to have a good plan for each of the stations and what we actually want to get as for feedback. What the setup of those stations would look like. And that's the bulk. Then marketing, that's the other, like how are we going to get people there? Would be the other thing for us to figure out. Once again, I look to Nancy as our official person who's run a million city meeting on effective ways to get people there.
Who knows?
We had such success with that Conway event. We had such a good turnout, which is,
It was a good turnout.
which is related to
You're
this.
gonna have that because those people are all interested.
Yeah. We have that list. We do have a list somewhere of those people. Because that was people who cared about open space topics.
What was this one?
That was the Conway students updating the 2 chapters of the master plan.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of overlap of the people that
Definitely.
are interested in that, interested in this. So somewhere,
Try and remember what email list we had access to.
we had a list at the door for people who.
No, I know, but
Yeah,
how did we get the word out? Was
Oh.
there an e-blast, an existing? I always struggle with that. I think I do have a list that I had gotten from Eric Torek about the people that participated in all of the master planning processes, but that's years ago.
right, that's getting.
Still, those people are around.
While they're still here, yeah.
Yeah, but we must have done more than that. Who handled the outreach?
It's foggy. I'll look back. So maybe as a next step, since we want to have time for our last discussion topic here,
Right.
maybe as a next step, I'll take the lead on thinking about marketing and figuring out what worked in the past.
I think partly too, we need to have a flyer or visual thing, and then a text that can be sent by email or whatever. It might be good for each of the committees that are involved to just announce it at a meeting, and then that'll be part of the minutes. Although I know that not everything's being posted right now, but that's another way that we're connecting with the public.
Yeah.
And then there's conservation partners in town, Just Fruits,
Yeah.
CRC, FLT,
Right.
Mount Grace, we could, if
Yeah.
you have a flyer and the announcement, send it to those partners and they can send it out, and people who are in town, who are
Yeah.
supporters.
Yep. Great. I'll work
And
on all that.
And newspaper.
Yeah.
And something in the
The
newspaper.
news media.
Definitely.
Press release.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll prep all of that.
Yeah, that's.
We don't need to do it yet.
Because it's not our event.
And then
That's why I couldn't remember.
can each of you, I don't know, like outside of between now and the next meeting, give a little time to what your tables
Yeah.
will look like?
Sure.
Does that work? And so then at the next meeting, we can just all touch base and sort of finalize what it will all look like, and I can share, that will be enough time. That's probably when we're actually going to start the real marketing, would be at that point anyway, because that's still a few weeks
Yeah.
before.
Mhm.
So I can share what I have on marketing prep, and then we can do the push from there. Does that all sound good?
Is there a venue or a person who's going to make a flyer for it, or?
I'm happy to make a flyer too
Okay,
as a
great.
part of
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Do you think the town would also print a map of the trails as such as what we have? So people can, at our table, I think it would be
Yeah.
good to have a map of the
Yeah,
trails.
yeah, sure.
The three areas, Griswold,
Yeah.
Highland Park,
Highland Park.
and,
Poet Seed,
Poet Seed.
Rocky Mountain.
yeah.
Do you have the map, or do we have them?
I mean, I can have, they exist.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, maybe if you want to just connect with Allison, and when we're sharing with Ella what to print, we can just give her everything that we want to print. And if she says it's too much, we can figure out what needs to be cut, but
I mean, those are little PDFs
yeah.
that we
Yeah.
have access
Be
to.
small.
Should bike trails be included in the trails or just hiking trails?
What's that?
Should bike trails be included or just hiking trails?
Do we have a good map for bike trails?
There was
There's a
something
lot of
that
bike
Allison
trails.
included.
Yeah.
Well, and then they're middle of doing a bike trail.
Yeah,
No.
I could see what Ryan has for at the FERCog for Bookway maps, because the FERCog has made a bunch of different versions over the years of those pamphlets.
I think it'd be great to have that map with your station too. It's very visual and that would help people.
Yeah.
I agree that having a map for the trails would be
Yeah.
really helpful.
Yeah.
Great. All right. So we all have a little something to work on, and then by the next meeting, we'll be ready to roll. Awesome. Okay. So we have just over 10 minutes for our last topic, Allison. So I sent around this FERCog project, and not everybody was there, but whenever that was in the fall, we had Andrea and
Kimberly.
now Allison's predecessor, Kimberly.
By the way, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
So I think some of us have heard a bit about this project, but Allison, you want to just give us the snapshot?
Yes. So honestly, not too much has happened since the FERCog was last at our meeting. So I'm jumping back in on the project to carry it through the end of the year. So we're working on a resilient river corridor project. So in Greenfield, we have a mapped river corridor for the Green River. And in short, the river corridor is the area outside of the 100-year floodplain, or it's an area larger than the 100-year floodplain that's likely very vulnerable to flooding. So as a part of our project, we're compiling a resilient Green River corridor action plan for Greenfield. And I think it pairs well with a lot of the mapping work that we've been doing. I think as a part of the action plan, I can make another map that zooms in just to the river corridor to look at what's going on there in terms of a lot of the different criteria that we've been looking at that we think the city would find important, like the farmland soils, what's conserved already, where is their development. And so it would be like a more narrow version of the priorities work, that the conservation priorities work we've been doing. It's funny sitting on this committee and then working on this project, because it feels like I don't have to, or normally there would have to be a lot more coordination on what's been happening, but I know it's been happening. So a long way of saying, I think I just need to sit down and jump back into this and think about how it can tie best with what we've been doing, so it's not redundant and also helpful for the city.
Yeah. Great.
If I'm hoping I could have enough time to make another map, and maybe it's something for the public info session that we could have, just to like show a little bit about what a river corridor is.
Deal.
Because I think, you know, it tends to get people kind of excited. So that could be something. What else?
And so that the scope, it includes us in the project as it's outlined, as us being the Open Space Task Force, as having a role in helping to develop the action plan, I believe is the language that was used. And so it doesn't define that exactly, and it says the time frame is after July. So that by helping with some public engagement and just input from the city, like from city folks. So I guess part of the question is if we feel like we're able, like we have the capacity to be a part of that, which to me
it would definitely be like June, July, after the public forum. Like I can try and have a map, but any of the like thinking about the action plan would be later on in the year.
What's it said after July 1st on the scope, but do you know, does it have to be completed this calendar year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
So I read it and I wasn't clear what, besides the engagement meetings, which you mentioned, what might be expected of the Open Space Task Force.
Yeah.
I think getting input on the maps and just feedback on the action plan once we have it. That would mostly be it. And like I feel like I already know a lot about what we've been working on. So it will hopefully be a much lighter. It's not going to be as involved as it usually would have to be.
Right. Makes sense. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But we'd love to see it and give,
Oh yes.
input
Yeah.
on the toolkit.
Yeah. I haven't gotten to really dive into it yet. So it's going to be a summer project. Go ahead, Emily.
There's some resources that might be relevant that aren't really at all in the conservation priority mapping, like, Berkshire Gas and the transfer station. Are some of those types of things going to be included so we can show the vulnerabilities of the infrastructure?
Yeah. So it would be more of taking stock of what's in the river corridor. So what's there and what could be done.
So it doesn't sound like an excessive amount of Open Space Task Force time, especially since the Open Space Task Force is represented in all of your meetings now. So as far as, and it seems like it aligns very well with what our priorities are. The way that we've been doing this, and we can talk about this in June, is we have each summer now been saying, what should we focus on for this cycle? And so we can sort of solidify what our role could be at that meeting too in May or June, and say, we're on board. But to me, it makes sense for us to be involved in any way that.
It's a great opportunity.
Right.
Yeah.
And it ties in with what we're already working on so nicely. So.
So maybe me hogging an agenda sometime in the late summer, early fall.
Perfect.
Yeah.
When we were trying to narrow down on our priorities, there was one line that stuck around for a long time that was either a flood assessment of Greenfield or something along those lines to talk about
Vulnerable
impermeable surface analysis.
Yeah.
That's not what this is, but it certainly gets at some of the risks that were thought about. So
Right.
I feel like we're circling back around to some of our earlier priorities.
Yeah. Great. Anything else, Allison, or anybody else to add on that?
That's really it for me.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I know Ella saw the scope and she saw us listed on it. And so she came to me and was like, are you sure? Like, is this do you have the capacity to be involved with this? So that was the main goal of having it on our agenda today, is just making sure we're clear on what the expectations are. But it seems like Allison being on both sides of this, it's going to be a relatively easy process. Yeah.
I'm working
Thank you,
on the
Allison.
project as
Oh,
well.
that's right.
So if there are
And-
times where people feel like this is too much of a lift, I'm happy to
Yeah.
step in as well.
Right, Franklin Land Trust. is
Franklin Land Trust, right.
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
So we're well represented.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you for supporting our project scope that was written a long time ago.
Nice. All right, nice work, everyone. 6:25. Any last public comment? I know, Patty, you had emailed a few things, which now we don't have a lot of time to jump into any big concepts, but if there's anything we want to bring up in these for the last few minutes.
Yeah, some of it was about, wanted to know more about like what the forest stewardship program might cover. Actually, that was especially something that Max and Sarah were asking.
Okay. So very briefly, the forest stewardship program, specifically the cost share funds, are for planning for forest land. And then there's the community forestry 75-25 grant, which is different from the urban and community forestry program that has its own array of grants, many of which are been used by like the Greenfield Tree Committee and other folks. But the urban forestry from Service Forestry is used for implementing forest management plans that communities have, maybe for town forests.
I wonder,
And also outreach. There have been some that have dealt with pollinators. There's been a pretty broad variety. I ran it by Mike Downey briefly, talking more about the Griswold outreach that we're interested in doing. And he said that definitely would match the intent. And I think that if you had a set of ideas, the thing to do would be to just sit down with Mike Downey and go over them to see whether they fit or not. Most of the funding is spoken for this year. There might be some more available. The funding cycle restarts again June 30th. So that would be the next cycle if there's no funding this year.
I would love if all of what you just said could be in writing.
I can write that down. Sure thing. I'll send you an email.
Cannot
No problem.
capture all of that.
Is that the forester, the Mike?
Mike Downey, he is a service forester and he heads up the service forestry stewardship program. MWI which is a subsidiary of FLT. We administer the stewardship program, so I work very closely with Mike Downey on that and other DCR staff.
Thank you. The other part of what I was asking about was just I was reading over the minutes from the Franklin County Food Council, and they were talking about what the community is, what's going on in the community, how the hospital, like the hospital, one of the nonprofit hospitals they were thinking about does an assessment. And they said the community is experiencing SNAP cuts. Farms could use support, especially in the way of volunteers, but coordinating volunteers is a job in itself. Mental health and substance abuse is a concern for our younger demographics. ICE activities are drastically reducing the amount of people coming out to use free services. GCC is free in Massachusetts, but living expenses are a concern, and the food pantry use has gone up. And so I was wondering if, when we're thinking about our priorities, that maybe we could be thinking about these as well, like how some of our, when we're like mapping, some of, like, especially when we're thinking about feasibility and what funding exists and like what accessibility then yeah, I think keeping these things in mind, like land to prioritize near communities that potentially they could be growing food and it would be close for them, like for community land tending. I thought of Leiden Woods because it is nearby that conservation land, and I'm curious if that's the town forest, and if that would be eligible for funding.
Is Leiden Woods watershed supply land? Or, because I'm not familiar with the being part of the conservation holdings, although I might just be not remembering.
It's basically kind of along the Green River. The water supply is like near Leiden.
Okay.
Kind of in Leiden. The Leiden Woods community is also near farmland, and I know that this kind of like conservation, affordable housing and conservation and farmland like overlap is something that land trusts are looking into. So, and I know that at Kestrel Land Trust, they're exploring how to do this with affordable housing in East Hampton. And so I would love to like be kind of trying to think about that. Like that seems like a really great place because like it's right there. And
Right.
and if we identified other areas that maybe like provided more safe, secure, accessible places to get their needs met, then that seems like it would be a really valuable service to the community.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great addition for us to keep in mind as we think about all of our work. Yeah. Great.
Thanks.
Thanks, Patty. It's 6:30.
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate everybody's time.
Bye
Thank
all.
you.
Yeah.
See you next month.
April 27th, next meeting, April 27th.